your girl Chelsea-Alana. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this is usually a place where I talk about, fashion, hair, makeup, skincare, and luxury travel. However, this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be telling you guys what not to do when you are traveling abroad. I make it apparent to go somewhere, anywhere, at least once a month, just so I'm able to recharge and, just relax and get myself zen. Because, being in America is very, very stressful and working is very stressful. And I feel like every single month I need to go on a vacation to kind of, center myself and make sure that I'm always staying very grateful and very relaxed. However, over the past couple of years, I have developed a sense of awareness that a lot of Americans probably don't have if they're not accustomed to traveling as often as I travel, whether it's, faraway countries or close countries or, different countries that speak different languages or different dialects. I noticed there are just a little bit of, I guess, mannerisms that need to either adjusted or at least acknowledged, and so I felt like a video like this was very, very essential. So if you're new here and you like the video, make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or if you want to combat something that I said, or maybe drop a story in the comment section and let me know things that has happened to you that are similar or whatever on your travels, I would love to hear about it. And so let's get started. Okay, so one of the, I guess, to me, this is the most important thing for you not to do when you are traveling abroad, especially going to different countries where English is not the primary language. Don't talk to locals as if they're stupid because they don't understand English or English is not their first or secondary language. I noticed that a lot of the times when I'm traveling with friends or if I'm traveling by myself, I notice other people, it is very easy to get frustrated with someone who you're having a hard time communicating with. But one thing I absolutely hate is when someone is trying to talk to someone else as if they are stupid or dumb simply because there is a language barrier. Just because someone is not educated on how to speak your language does not mean that they're not educated or they don't have like the capacity to help you in whatever you're doing. And it's actually also very hypocritical because for you to get upset or think that someone's dumb because they don't understand English, you yourself in return, they probably feel like you're dumb or uneducated because you don't understand whatever language that they speak. Like, how do you come to somebody else's country and then get mad because you don't know how to speak their language? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So one of the most important things is don't speak to people like they're dumb. Another thing that I personally had to really check myself on was disrespecting people's way of life. And because I'm so used to disrespecting people's way of life in America because it's funny to me, I don't think it's funny when you do it out of the country. There are some places, like when I go to DR, there are places called campos. And they're basically if they were in America, you would call it the hood or you would call it projects or whatever the case may be, or even to label certain people's houses as shacks or cabins or stuff. Just certain label words you have to be very mindful of because it comes off disrespectful. One example that I can give is when you go to Florida, you notice a lot of those homes, they're one level kind of, you would consider it a ranch anywhere else, but in Florida, they all have very similar style homes. And we don't disrespect the way a home is built in Florida versus how a home is built in probably North Dakota or Nebraska or New York, because Florida homes are built a certain way because they are made to withstand hurricanes or withstand whatever climate or whatever, you know, natural disasters are primary in that area. And the same goes for other countries. In a lot of other countries, a lot of things are not a necessity to people, and a lot of things are not beneficial due to the weather, due to the location. You know, architects who create homes in that area, they have to make it to where if a natural disaster happens, they are not being overly devastated. And so one thing that I always recommend to people is to not put labels on locals' houses. And if you do, don't be loud about it, because the person that's driving you in your excursion or even the bellhop or whoever, you don't know who you might offend. And so that's something that I personally had to work on, not labeling people's homes or areas as ghetto or shacks or things like that, because it is very disrespectful to do. Also, this is something that all Americans probably don't even notice that they do, but when you go to like very, I guess, touristy popular places, a lot of those workers there, they're used to the go life, but now because, you know, traveling is becoming more of a accessible life hobby, I would like to say, it's funner to go to those more local towns where there is not a lot of big tourist population. And in those towns, you cannot get upset when they don't have the American work lifestyle. I notice that when I go out of the country, if they say they stop at 4 o'clock, 4 o'clock it stopped. They don't care how much money you're flashing in their faces. They don't care if you called ahead and you went online and it's, why are you closing at 3:59? If it's 4 o'clock, you have to start. The customer is always right. Honey, that is only in America. That is not over there. And that way of life, there's nothing wrong with it. People outside of this country, they tend to hold more value in their leisure and their family life. So work life is not a super big thing to people. They make just enough money to buy what they want, buy what they need, or sustain their lifestyle, and they go home. Only in America, they try to like raise us to be like, go, 24 hour, 40, 50 hour work week. And a lot of places that is not normal, because it's not normal, and most importantly, it's not important to those people. So don't expect the American work life kind of guilt to work on other people, especially locals, because they do not give a damn. Also, something that is also like very important when you're going to various countries is before you have a service, whether that's going to a restaurant, an excursion, getting your hair done, your nails done, spa. Clearly, these are only things that I do, but any type of business that you go to where they're going to provide you a service, not a product, but a service, make sure in the beginning of that, you let them know I'm paying either US dollars or I'm paying cash or I'm paying Apple Pay. My most recent vacation, for whatever reason, all of the restaurants and clubs we went to had Apple Pay. So when it was time for me to go get my nails or my hair done, I expected to be able to pay in Apple Pay, and I was not able to. Some places took credit card, some places took US dollars, and so even though it's not something that we really think about, it's 2022, because in America most places take either Apple Pay or credit card, and because of the national shortage that's going on, people rarely ever use cash in America. We have to let people know in different countries, especially when they're getting ready to do a service for us, how you're gonna be paying, just to see if they're able to accommodate whatever form of payment you're gonna give them. And the next thing that I always irritates my soul, it irritates my soul when I'm going on vacation with people and they're not socially aware. In America, I'm a complete asshole. 24/7, thoroughbred, don't care. But I know my limits because I know my country. And when you don't know other people's countries, you don't know their limits. Like in New York, not New York, but like when I'm out in America and people are like, oh, oh, where are you from? I'm from New York. They'll joke about the rat. They'll joke about, you know, mobsters and things like that. They'll joke about a lot of things, and, you know, I'll joke back. But one thing nobody ever jokes about when it comes to New York is 9/11. One thing I'm never gonna joke about when you go to, like, New York is very self-centered, so I don't know what other national disasters or whatever has happened. Like, oh, if you go to New Orleans, you're not gonna joke about Hurricane Katrina. You understand what I'm saying? Because you know the devastation it's had on your country. I just wanna give an example. When I went to Mexico with my friend, he would constantly make jokes about Pablo Escobar. If somebody's name was Pablo, or are you Escobar? Are you da-da-da-da-da? And it's just like, because I've been to Mexico plenty of times, and because I don't want to say well versed, but I took the time to actually learn about everything that was happening in Mexico when Pablo Escobar was there, when, you know, his son was taking over and stuff like that. It's not funny. And so you'll have some, you know, workers at resorts that will entertain it, or they'll take you to go see the house, or they'll take you to go see these, you know, monuments of Pablo Escobar. There are other people who would not find that funny. Thousands of men, women, and children died in drug-related gang wars, or were used to be pawns in getting, you know, Pablo Escobar's son out of jail and things like that. And if you actually saw real documentaries about it and not whatever shows that they put on Netflix, and you actually saw the amount of bodies that were piled up in the streets of gang wars and people just killing any and everybody, you would understand why things like that are not funny. When I went to even Miami, I met a group of girls that were actually from England, and we were playing around, playing with our British accents, and I was like, oh, I'm Margaret Thatcher, and and they thought it was so funny. I was like, oh my God, you sound like you're from East London, darling. I was like, yes, darling, yes I do. And I asked them, because I watched The Crown, I was just like, oh my God, like, how is it with Margaret Thatcher? And the girl looked at me, they said she's the most hated woman in our country. And I'm like, really? Like, she was such a bitch. She was like, no, she was a bitch. She was horrible. People died. There was a war. And it's like, playing it back, I'm only basing my opinion off Margaret Thatcher, off of The Crown, and these made up scenarios that she might have had with the Queen. But looking at those key points that they pulled out for the show, it was messed up the way she was moving and what she was doing. And like I said, I'm just basing my opinion off of a television show versus someone who's grew up in that country, who's basically saying, no, she's hated. What she did was wrong. And it made me reflect and be like, damn. So all of these infamous people from different countries that we make jokes about in America, to other countries, it hurt them. And it wasn't, and it's not funny. And that's something that I really try to push for my friends to stop doing, because it is tacky. And like I said, you never know who it might offend or who it might closely hit home for. So, and my last, you know, big don't do, and I might come out with a story time about this. Don't assume that the workers there are poor. I don't want to tell y'all my business, but I'm gonna tell you like a little bit of my business. When I went to the Bahamas, there were a group of bellhops, and they were so cute. They had their little khaki shorts on with their brown belt and their pink like polo t-shirt tucked in, and they were the bellhops. They were bringing the bags upstairs, and so I was there with a group of girls, and so they kept talking to us the whole entire like vacation, like trying to take us out. And you know, they were trying to take us out on a date, and you know, in my head I'm like, man, I ain't going on a date with this dude. Like, where is he gonna take me in the Bahamas? I'm like, okay. So they had 4 guys, we had 4 girls. We was just like, man, let's just go, whatever, who cares? Girl, them boys outside of their uniforms, fresh. They had the gold chains, they had the watches, they had the good cologne, they had the rings on, earrings, sunglasses, Cartier, and I'm looking at them like, ain't no way. They took us to a nice little restaurant, they took us to the club, hookah, we buying bottles section, we ordering steaks, they're paying for everything. They had like a little BMW that was kind of like it was like a 2013. And if I was in New York and a dude picked me up in a 2013 3 Series, I would probably be irritated. But I had to think, in this country, that's probably for a dude that's 23, 24, that's probably like a big deal. I had to really sit back and I had to really do the math. Now, if they work an 8-hour schedule, out of that 8 hours, they probably handle 6 bags, 6 families, or 6 group of luggages upstairs probably per hour. So let's do the math on this. So the average bellhop will probably work 8 to 10 hours a day. In that 8 to 10 hours, we'll give him grace. He'll probably work with 6 different people or persons with luggages per hour. Now, when you go to certain resorts and you go to certain places, you are expected to give a tip. And most likely the tip is going to be anywhere from $10 to $20. So imagine if you are working an 8 to 10 hour shift and you do 20 times 6. You do 20 times 6 and then times it by 8. That is $960 a day. Now, I don't know how much a bellhop, how many days a bellhop will work. I would just assume maybe 5 days. So in the average week, he's probably getting close to $5,000, US dollars, mind you, a week. So once I did the math on that, honey, I said, oh, now it's all like making sense. So yeah, my WhatsApp be jumping. Oh, that's another thing. WhatsApp for like Americans is just to like send pictures and videos when it's going too slow or when the quality is not working. But WhatsApp in other countries is just like Facebook. It's Facebook Messenger. It's Hinge, you know. So yeah, my WhatsApp be popping ever since I figured that out. So don't always think that, you know, the person that's working at the resort is broke or not making a good amount of money, because whatever they're getting paid hourly has nothing compared to what people give in gratuity and tips to them on an hourly basis. So yeah, those are just a few tips that I have on what not to do when traveling abroad. If you're into these types of videos or you think I should do more, if you have any suggestions on what I should do, any questions, make sure to drop them below in the comments, and I'll be back with another video very, very soon. Dame besos.